What is good, all of our listeners and viewers? Welcome to another episode of Games and Groceries. My name is Adam.
And I'm Liz.
And I don't even know what month it is anymore. We're here with episode 102, where we're going to be talking about Phil Spencer's comments on the next generation of games in 2021. But first, we've got some segments for you. Yes, we do. So, a little bit of announcement time. I'm an idiot on 2 parts.
Why are you an idiot?
Well, first and foremost, so if you're new here, we always have timestamps available. If you want to fast forward, go right ahead. Choose how you do with this podcast as you will. You want to fast forward to the news pieces? Cool. If you want to fast forward to the discussion, cool. That's on you. But I knew that YouTube had these little chapter bars where you can just edit it in the description of how to, if you look down in the YouTube, if you're watching us on mobile or on your laptop, you can look down there and you see these little markers. You can just click on one of the bars and then boom, you're right there instead of clicking on a timestamp. And I was just trying to figure it out, like how to get it to work. And really to get it to start, because I kept doing the same format, you have to start it with the semicolon, 00.
Mm-hmm.
And then it will activate. I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. Because like I knew what format you needed, but you need to always start with 000 to activate it. I was like, a moron.
It's okay. Why are you a moron on the other part?
Oh, moron number 2. If you listen to the podcast with Micah Sherman, with the greatest story ever played, with who else did this? Well, Alyssa Paynes was also done this way, but there was this little helicopter-esque feedback onto it with some guests coming on. And I've been having guests record themselves to put it on.
Yeah.
And it made it sound better. I'm not going to lie. The guests sound better because of it. However, I just don't like making guests work. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this on What's the Biz. But with the guests, I want them to just come on Skype. I'll record them and they don't have to do any kind of work. But I've been having to do that because of this weird feedback. And I've been trying to figure it out ever since then. Like, is it our internet? Is it the box? I've been playing with the levels. I've been playing with the cleaning and the drive of the laptop. I'm like, why is it doing this feedback? And as I'm cleaning out the laptop files, you know what I realized? You know what I didn't install on the new laptop? The USB drivers for the mixer.
Yeah.
I looked on the files.
We forgot we got a new laptop at Christmas.
I was just like, I forgot to install the drivers. And I'm such an idiot. And then as soon as I installed them, the noise stopped. I was like, you are an idiot. And so like the whole day I was kicking myself because I figured it out the night before. And the next day I was like, why didn't I think of the simplest thing as the USB drivers? I thought of everything else. Podcasting, everybody.
Hey, we got taken care of now.
Yeah. So next time we have a guest on, which should be next week, sure, it's not going to sound as clear, but like I said, I do not like to make guests work as in, okay, hop on. Okay, we're going to sync our audio. Okay, make sure that you have it this way and that way. I just want to say, hey, hop on Skype. I'll record you. No problem. But now we're going to be able to do that, and I'll feel more confident in getting more guests on.
Yes.
I was such an idiot. But anyways, we are at 5 minutes now, so... But yeah, if you like more of these intro talks, and I'll be talking more about my thoughts on podcasting, definitely check out our other show, What's the Biz? There's a link down below for the Spotify link for What's the Biz, but it's also available on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, especially. You should listen to us from there. But yeah, check that out, What's the Biz, as well as our social media pages. We're on Twitter at Gaming Groceries, or you can follow us individually. I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm at Journey First.
Or you can follow us on Instagram, Games Groceries, all one word, where you can see little funny memes, as well as behind-the-scenes photos, announcements, or anything like that. Definitely follow us on Instagram, and follow us on Facebook for other announcements as well. And you can follow us on our website, or just check out our website, gamesandgroceries.com, where you can listen to the audio podcasts. You can listen to all the podcasts from the website as well as find out where you can listen to the audio versions of the website. I'm going to get it right. It's my thing. I wrote it and I still can't do it.
Well, there's a lot there.
There is. And I'm bad at tongue twisters. I'm incredibly bad at tongue twisters. Willie's rear wheels. Anyways, and then if you're watching us on YouTube, definitely subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so that you know when all these podcasts come out, as well as the monthly videos that we're working on. We are working on this one, the Assassin's Creed video, so definitely look out for that one. And if you haven't already, definitely leave us a review on Podchaser. There's a link down below. You can go directly to our Podchaser site. You can leave a review there. And definitely click like and share it with your friends if you enjoy this episode. So, with all that said and done, let's just go on to our first segment.
Movie Minutes.
Movie Minutes is a segment that we talk about the movies that we saw in the past week, whether it be on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, not in theaters at this point in time, and we like to review it and give you a recommendation, or we don't recommend this movie. But this week's movie is actually an Amazon Prime original. You can find us on Video Prime, Prime Video, whatever you want to call it, and it is called Seberg. We thought this movie was pretty recent in the past weeks, and looks like it came out like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
But it stars Kristen Stewart. It also has Vince Vaughn in it.
Yes.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was.
So let's talk about this. Opening thoughts.
I mean, I always love any movie based on a true story. And this is a story that, like, I have never heard. I've never heard of
Gene Seberg before.
Me neither.
I mean, call me, uncultured, but...
Yeah, so I was like, I've never heard of her. I've never heard her story.
And you're usually into those, like, time frames. Like, you love Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I usually like those things. And... I don't know. It's just, I've never heard of her. So I was like very intrigued to learn because it's like not the typical story you would hear. So you'd think that's something that you would have grown up hearing at least once in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was very interesting. But yeah, I really liked it. Kristen Stewart, I'm so glad that she got better with herself. Yeah. And
I'm glad she's still finding work.
And not even just finding work, but she's been like really heavily acting again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really happy because I think Twilight really could have killed her career if she let it.
Yeah.
And it did for a while. And she got in some really bad things.
Mm-hmm.
And was kind of like absent for a long time. And I'm so happy that she's coming back into the screen because she, when she puts her mind to it, she can be really good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's kind of monotone and struggles to get out of that, but she's a decent actress.
Yeah. So my opening thoughts for this movie, and again, Kristen Stewart was fantastic in this movie. I think that's, like you said, Twilight could have ruined her, but I'm glad that she's still finding work. And talking about the introduction to this movie, this introduction really set the tone of this movie really, really well. Mm-hmm. You get to know the characters, each of the characters, what their motives are, who they are, what they're doing at the time, everybody's where everybody places in this puzzle. Within the first 15 minutes, you get to see like who Gene Seberg is, what she's doing in America.
Yeah.
You get to see by the way, Andrew Mackie is in this movie too, who also plays Falcon in the Marvel movies. And it's funny because the opening scene, there's a Jack Kirby original Captain America that's thrown into the trash, and I'm like, hey, I wonder if that's, I don't know. But yeah, so he's in this. But you get to know all these characters, the Black Panther movement, what that's all about, the political scene in this, the political strategy, and how there's this sort of divide with the Black Panther riots versus like all white people basically in this time, because this takes place in the late 60s.
Yeah.
But it sets everything up so well that you like automatically like, okay, I know this character wants this. I know this character wants that. I know how they're mended together, and I can go into this movie.
And they tell you about it very cleanly. Like, because a lot of movies, they kind of like shove it in your face. Like, we're telling you about these people. Whereas this, they kind of did it like with just like behind the scenes stuff. And like they told you about the people in a nice way that didn't disrupt the movie.
Yeah. No, it's it's good in that way where it just sets everything up beautifully. Now, again, this movie is about Gene Seberg. Keep that in mind. It is about Gene Seberg's life, but in a section of it. It's not about her acting career.
It's literally within, I think, a year of her life.
3 years.
3 years? Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Within a few years.
And this is more, so don't just set yourself up to think that this is a Gene Seberg movie. This is a political racism struggle and what this movement did.
It was it's a movie about the part she played in this movement.
Exactly. So it's more of a political struggle than anything else. It's all about racism. It's all about white people trying to use their privilege to help the black community, but really the Black Panthers, some of them were just saying she's just using it for the public eye, or the Black Panthers were sometimes using her money for different gains, and the FBI was in it on it. So you get to see all these different parts, and nobody was really doing it for themselves, like for the cause.
Yeah.
It was really like, who's doing it for what purpose?
Yeah.
And it's this political struggle, and you get to see what everybody's motives is, whether that's for the cause, for themselves, or for a different motive. Yeah. So it's really cool just to see those different dynamics all within the same time span and all within the same cause. How this country kind of divides races. Yeah. So think of it in that way if you go into this movie. But that's my second note. Now, my final note for this movie is that with Seberg, while the performances are, by the way, performances in this movie are outstanding.
Amazing.
Every single actor in this movie hit their roles to a T. I've never seen better performances collectively in a movie in a very, very long time. Kristen Stewart, fantastic. Vince Vaughn, fantastic. I'm trying to remember who played the audio engineer for the FBI. I can't remember his actor's name. But Andrew Mackie was fantastic. Everybody played their part, and it was a fantastic performance altogether. The story seemed to be, missing some pieces. I feel like we jumped scenes.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wait, no, I want to know more.
Yeah.
And this movie is only an hour and 40 minutes. So I felt like the movie still had some wiggle room. If this was a 2 hour and 10 minute, if they added a half hour of scenes, I would have accepted it.
Yeah.
But there were some times where I was just like, we kind of skipped over something, didn't we?
Yeah, I feel like I would have liked to know a little bit more about the personal life of the one FBI agent.
Yeah.
The main FBI agent. Just because I feel like we skipped some things. Like all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, we're expecting our first. I'm like, when did we talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just kind of skimmed over how his wife was treated by the other wives, little things like that I was like, I wish we had learned I know it was about Gene Seberg's role, but they kind of did put it as he was kind of the secondary main character, and I wish we had learned more about him because he did play a big role in knowing this story.
So I think this can go to our final ratings for this. Out of 10 pineapples, what did you give this movie?
I gave it an 8. Because I really liked it. I mean, like I said, I love stories or movies based on true stories and learning about, especially when they're in the 60s, 70s or farther back. So I really enjoyed it. I really love Kristen Stewart as an actress, and I'm just so happy that she's back and she's doing in really good movies. Like I said, the acting was great. There were just some parts that I was like, we could have skipped some images.
Yeah, there's a couple sex scenes in this one.
Yeah, and I prefer movies. Not that I'm a prude. It's just I just don't see the need for that stuff in movies. And
that's the other thing, though. Talking about the sex scenes, I don't like sex scenes in movies that serve no purpose other than getting the boyfriends of all the girls. But
this served a purpose. This was part of the story.
Yeah.
But you can do a sex scene without showing me everything. So that was my problem, is that I would have rather them allude to it or just not show things. So
yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say it on camera and stuff. I'm just saying.
You didn't want to see Andrew Mackie show as Andrew Mackie.
See Andrews Mackie.
Oh. Jeez. Write that on a t-shirt. So out of pineapples, I actually gave this 7 pineapples. I gave the 7 because, like I said, the story was a bit lacking, but the performances were just so outstanding. I wasn't really satisfied with the actual story. I feel like we left out so many things, so many stories. I just wanted to know way more.
Like, I want to research.
That's what I tried to do.
Seberg, not to like see what was true and what wasn't, but to learn more about her.
And I felt like the story held back in a lot of ways, but the performances were just so good in this movie that I had to give it. I couldn't give it anything below a 7. So I just said, you know what? It's a solid movie. I'll give it a 7. Solid. 8's a solid movie. 7's decent. And I would say I would give it around that, maybe a 7.5. Yeah. But the performances were like really, really great.
Don't be eating a meal when you watch it because there are some lines in French. Not a lot. It's just like a couple random ones because her husband is French. So sometimes they speak in French to each other, and I missed like all of them.
So that was our review of Seberg. It's on Prime Video. Again, the movie is called Seberg. You can definitely check it out there. Don't take our word for it. Just take it for a grain of salt, but that's what we give it, Seberg. So I think we can talk about video games now, don't you think?
I agree.
So let's go right into it with our second segment.
Top 3 Gaming News.
The top 3 gaming news is the gaming news that we saw in the past week, and we like to rank it 3, 2, 1, just to give you a condensed version of what's going on in the gaming industry. So,
what was that?
I don't know. But let's get right into it. We've got 3 pieces of gaming news. If you're new here, hi. How you doing? You doing good? Someone else does that. Someone else does that intro. Maybe Curtis Connor. I don't know. I don't want to steal anybody's intro. Hi, my name is Adam.
No, that's the wrong video.
But yeah, so we have 3 pieces of gaming news that we'd like to go through. And the number 3 gaming news that we have is Minecraft.
Yeah.
Minecraft, everybody.
Don't talk about that a lot.
We don't, because I don't know. I don't like Minecraft. I don't think it's a bad game.
It's just not for us.
But Minecraft sells over 200 million copies.
So it's for more people, not us.
Yeah, it's for way more people. And here's the craziest part. Sells 200 million copies and has a 126 million monthly player base.
Wow.
That's insane. So, this game first released in 2009 as an indie project under it was like a little bedroom project. It was put out there, and then finally it gained this huge community, and then finally in 2009 released, and it just became a huge success, massive success. And I believe it was purchased by Microsoft 6 years ago. It's in the article down below if you would like to check it out. 6 years ago for $2.5 billion. That's insane. And it was that successful, and now it's going up there for 200 million copies. I want to read this quote that's from the article. Again, all the articles that we're going to talk about, it's linked down below. And it says, Minecraft started off as a bedroom project, distributed initially as a Java applet on a web forum. The game quickly captured the imagination of thousands of gamers who loved the indie game's concept of allowing players to shape an environment by crafting and building constructions out of blocks. It spawned a giant community that creates a replica objects, and here's the big part, and YouTube tips of how to play Minecraft are regularly shared by millions of viewers. It still ranks up there with high view counts for Minecraft. And I understand that Minecraft is the view catcher. And you might be saying, Adam, maybe you should be playing Minecraft to get more views. And I have to say to you, I don't like Minecraft, so that's why I don't have it on.
You're not really big on games that you build, or like you want action. You want to be actually doing something
or
in
puzzles.
a story. Yeah,
I like puzzles.
Yeah,
I'm not very big on like building an environment.
You're not. You don't want to build things out of your own imagination. You want to play a game that someone else made.
Yeah, I don't really care. Yeah, I don't like
Which is
Sims.
why our Animal Crossing island is mine.
Yeah, pretty much. You took
Adam
that over.
occasionally visits.
I visit it every now and again. But,
see where I am.
But that's the thing, is that this game seems to be an unstoppable force. And I predict that this game is still going to continue to grow for at least 5 more years. It's crazy, though. Yeah. 200 million copies.
No, that's a lot. And I remember a few years ago, I thought that Minecraft had died.
It did for a little bit.
I hadn't heard about it. And then all of a sudden, like, I heard you saying something. I'm like, people are still playing that.
Yeah, no, like, it's still, in terms of died, I should clarify. In terms of died, it lowered on the YouTube rankings. And then when Fortnite came, Fortnite really, boom, took the reins. And it was 5-6 months ago, maybe 5 months ago. Minecraft started to like really rank back up there. Minecraft is unstoppable. Even Fortnite can't stop this thing. It's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah,
awesome.
It's already surpassed 200 million copies. 100. That's the impressive part. Is that 126 million player base. That's insane. That's the one that's probably the most insane. That still has that many monthly viewers or players.
Yeah.
But yeah, congratulations on Microsoft for the fantastic purchase. You invested quite wisely.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, that's number 3 gaming news. Number 2 gaming news is about Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Woo!
I think I'm going to have a news piece about Valhalla every single week because, well, this is an important thing.
Well, this is, but that doesn't mean every week. Every
week is an important one. It seems like every single week that Assassin's Creed Valhalla announces something.
Well, yeah, if they have something newsworthy every week.
That's the thing. That's the point.
Don't go digging for it.
No, that's my point. Is that like every single week they have like a newsworthy.
I got you.
Piece, and it's impressive. Such as one, it being announced. 2, that it's directed by Ashraf Ismail. That the composer is Jesper Kidd. And now this one. So there's an article linked down below. It's by Kotaku. And it's got a whole list of things of what we've learned so far about Assassin's Creed. But the most important thing that I think is in this article is that there's not going to be a progression wall for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Wow. Good. Thank goodness. Anyways, so if you don't know what a progression wall is, and if you played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, what a progression wall is, and this is a lot of times where I stop playing games, is where you have to play these side missions to level up, because let's say you're playing the main story, you're going through the narrative, and you're an RPG. Now, let's say you rank up to a level 15, but the next mission, the next main mission, it's a level 20. Oh no, you got to level up 5. Now you got to do all these side missions and hunt some deer and eat some jerky. I don't know. But like you have to do all these little things just to play the main mission.
Yeah.
And even more so, in Origins and Odyssey, there was something called XP boosters. Weren't those fantastic? No. Anyways. But the XP boosters were in the shop, and you can buy with real money as time savers so that you can permanently boost your XP every time so that you can only do a little bit of the side missions. You still have to do them, but the XP just shot up, and you had to purchase that with real money. Now to Valhalla. Thank goodness. So, I'm so happy about this. So I have 2 quotes right here. And this is coming from Ashraf Ismail, who is my papa. But he says this. He said, now this is the article writer when he's saying, like, he said, Ashraf Ismail is saying this. He said that the developers are trying to avoid any kind of big progression walls or anything that would keep players from accessing parts of the game that they're interested in. Wow. Who would have thunk it? He specifically said that he didn't want people to hit a progression spike that would keep them from experiencing the narrative content. In other words, he wants players to be able to finish the game's main story without grinding or going on a ton of side quests. Oh, what? Second quote. As for the potential presence and drama of an XP booster, Ishmael, who would only say that they're not talking about monetization yet, and want to earn every single penny that you're going to pay for the game. So again, he's not trying to say that there's no monetization. There's not going to be any microtransactions, but they're not talking about it yet. And I like that quote. Earn every single penny that you're going to pay. Amazing. Wow. A game that actually lets you play what you want to play?
Mm-hmm.
What?
That's nice.
Are we back in 2004? What? What do you think about that?
No, I think it's good because like then you can just play the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't really played Assassin's Creed enough to know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, like, did you get what I was trying to describe with progression wall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's good. But I don't really have like an opinion because I haven't played.
Yeah.
But as far as, because it also said that you don't have to spend any like of your own personal money.
Yeah.
Right? Anything that you buy in the game is something that you earned in the game.
No. That they earn. They earn. Like, so Ubisoft earns every single money that I pay them.
Oh, I understand.
So it's not this little cheap little monetization to say that like you have to buy an XP booster to get through the game.
Got you.
And that was just such a cheap, grindy move to get young adults to play because guess what? We all have full-time jobs and I don't got time to grind through your boring side missions, Quebec. But that is just me. I hated Odyssey. I hated Odyssey so much because it was such a grind fest. It was just so dumb in some ways. And that's the thing. I hate games where you want to go into the main mission, but it's like, uh-oh, you're 3 levels behind for some reason. You have to play the side missions. But this way, they have side missions, but you're not obliged to. That's what I liked about Spider-Man so much. Spider-Man, every single time, you could just go into a main mission, but they had these little side missions, like scattered around. If you want to do something else, like there's sometimes where the main mission will like not appear right away. And Spider-Man will say, like, oh man, I gotta like chill out for a bit. Better go on patrol. And it gives you like a 5-minute opportunity. Just, swing around, find a little side mission. You find a side mission, go ahead, do it if you want to. But then like after 5 minutes, I just want to do a main mission. Boom, there it is.
Yeah.
Thank God for Valhalla because they're doing the same exact thing. Who would have thought that's a good idea? Anyways, I love you, Ashraf Ismail. Please adopt me. As well as Jesper Kidd, because I want to learn how to make music just like you. So, moving on to the number 1 gaming news. PS5, everybody. PS5. PS5 apparently is going to be 100 times faster.
Yay.
Not slower. Don't hey, don't sleep up my words now. It's not going to be slower. It's going to be faster. Faster by how many times?
100,000.
Yes, 100,000 times. No, 100 times. And this is coming from the Sony's president. I'm just calling Ken because I'm not sure if it's Kenshiro or Kenshiro Yoshida. I'm just going to call him Mr. Ken. Ken Yoshida, who is the Sony president, was in an earnings call. Is a corporate strategy meeting. And he made this PowerPoint presentation, which in the article, you can click on it. It will take you right to the PowerPoint. You can see all the slides there. But he talks about how the speed of the console is what really matters. He's talking about the speed of the console. And that's what I want. So let me go into this quote right here. This is from Mr. Ken Yoshida. Kenichiro? Whatever. Pennypack? But anyways, in order to further enhance the sense of immersion in games, we expect to improve not just the resolution, but the speed of games. For example, through a custom-designed high-speed SSD solid-state drive, we plan to realize game data processing speeds that are approximately 100 times faster than the PS4. Holy crap. Game load times should be much shorter, and players should be able to move through immense game worlds in almost an instant. Wow. And again, I totally agree with this, that I feel like going to the next generation, why are we so focused on graphics? Why are we so focused on everything being
our graphics are pretty good.
Yeah, like the graphics look fine right now. I need loading screens to go away.
Yes.
And that's the thing. It's just like we are gaming adults. We are adults.
We don't have time for loading screens.
And that's the thing. It's like, I don't have time for your loading screens. Why are we so focused on graphics? What do you think?
Another thing I would like to see happen is not having to wait for a specific moment to shut a game down for it to be saved automatically. I want them to find a way or do something so I can just close the game and it just saves where I am. I don't have to look for the little thing in the corner to save it.
Yeah.
I don't have to click save and then quit. I just want to be able to close it down and it saves.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It is.
That would be pretty cool. Well, like that's kind of going into Xbox's so what was the way they called it? But basically you can just Yeah, Xbox is kind of doing that.
Yes, they are.
I forget what they called it, but we're not talking about Xbox right now.
No.
We're talking about PS5. Now, I think this is the real test of next-gen gaming because, again, graphics, fantastic, great, they're nice. I like graphics. Graphics are cool. And I like how he says immense game worlds. Now, we already know a little bit about Horizon Zero Dawn 2 and how they said that the world's going to be, okay, I might be misquoting here, but I think they said 4 times bigger than the original map. I think they said 4 times. And with this, he's saying you can go through immense game worlds in an instant. And same thing with dual sense. How if you pull back the trigger and it's like you're pulling back a bow. I'm like, what game are they talking about there? I wonder what it is. But again, I think this is all based around Horizon Zero Dawn 2. And he's more focused on big games, but you can go through. And again, this is going back to what I originally thought. Xbox is going to be a beefy boy for sure. It's going to be capable of a lot of things, but PS5, it's going to have the finesse. It's going to be smooth. It's going to be, it's going to give you big worlds, but in the finesse. It's Xbox, I feel like it's going to give you a lot of detail and a lot of things compacted, but it's going to be a lot smoother and, more graceful on the PS5. Any other thoughts on that?
No.
But imagine that 100 times faster.
I know, I'm excited.
Like, imagine what you're playing on the PS4 right now, like any kind of David Cage game, and it loads 100 times faster.
That'd be nice.
That's insane.
Because his games load a little slow.
Yeah, they do a little bit. But I can't, and that's the other thing. With PS4, I never really complained about the loading times. I nenever really did.
I do.
Yeah.
But I'm impatient.
That's the thing.
Like, I just want to play my game. I don't want to sit there. I don't want to wait. I just want to play.
Right. But yeah, so that's really, really cool. I am super psyched for that. For 100 times faster. That's why I like PS5 a lot better, because they're coming out. Xbox Series X, I like the services. I like Game Pass a lot. I love Game Pass. And I love the Xbox brand personally. That's my game system. But the finesse of the PS5, it looks so gorgeous.
My system's going to win next gen.
Well, it's already winning this gen.
It's going to win next gen too.
But
I have the better system.
So yeah, look out for that, for the 100 times faster. And soon they're going to be announcing the launch games for the PS5, I believe next week, or if they already did by the time this episode comes out. I don't know, but it is what it is. So comment down below if you're watching us on YouTube. What are your thoughts on these gaming news? With Minecraft selling 200 million, are you a Minecraft fan? Was this well deserved? Write it down below. Valhalla getting rid of progression. How much do you hate Odyssey? Can Odyssey just not exist anymore? Can Quebec ever make an Assassin's Creed game? Probably not. But what do you think? What do you think about Valhalla? And finally, 100 times faster PS5. Will that help you a lot? Are you going to be getting a PS5? Write it down in the comments down below. But with all that said and done, let's get into our main topic here. You're in it for the big topic. Phil Spencer isn't here, though. He's in the thumbnail, but he's not in the studio. But with that said and done, let's just go into our final segment.
Coffee time.
Every Every single week here on the Games Groceries podcast, we like to have a little coffee table discussion and talk about the video games industry, whether it be about female gamers or game preservation. We're here to talk to you about the game industry, and we want to give you a little opportunity to get in on the conversation. You can follow us on Twitter at Gaming Groceries, follow us on Instagram, Games Groceries, all one word, follow us on Facebook. Just find Games and Groceries on Facebook, and we'll ask you a question, and you can respond to that question, and we like to put your responses into the discussion pieces. So this article by Business Insider, where they interviewed Phil Spencer, this came out a while ago. This isn't really a current article. This came out May 8th.
So a couple weeks ago.
So a couple weeks ago. The time is now May 25th. So it came out a good amount of times ago. And I wanted to talk about this in a news piece, and I just kept putting it off. And I just wanted to say, like, you know what? Let's just talk about it here. I want to give it a little discussion and kind of break down this article. So again, it's not really current, but it's still worthy of discussion here. So again, Business Insider brought on Phil Spencer, and they asked him a few questions about March 2021 and the future of the games industry due to coronavirus. I said it here, but I have less than 100 subscribers, so I can get away with that. But
that and everyone has given up on not saying it.
Pretty much. So the article first starts that March 2020 was a big month for the gaming industry. I mean, we had Animal Crossing New Horizon, we had Call of Duty, and all these big games come out, and even littler games, tinier games, smaller games, right? They started to get this surge because what's everybody doing? Everybody's in, let's say it together, everybody, quarantine. We did it. But everybody's in quarantine, so they're playing a lot more games. Even the World Health Organization has said, like, well, we said that video game addiction was bad, but guess what? Video games are actually, they're good for you. Who would have thought? Anyways.
They're saving people's sanity.
Oh, wow. But that's the thing, is that it's March 2020 was a big month for video games. And reading from this article, sales of hardware, software, accessories, and game cards topped 1.6 billion for March. The highest reported spend for a March month since 1.8 billion achieved in March 2008, which I don't know when in 2008 that the recession happened. I don't know when. I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember when. So that's interesting because, 2008 was like the peak, and then we started to hit that real recession here. But that's the thing, is that this is the highest since 2008, and that's really, really cool. This seemed to be like, oh man, games industry, they're really catching. Oh, what's that?
It began in December 2007 and ended in June 2009.
So wow, we were in the recession. I thought the recession was later in 2008.
Well, everyone was out of work, so they were at home playing video games.
That's true. That's wild. That's really wild. Now that you say that, I didn't write this in my notes, but it's really wild how video game sales really skyrocket when
the world is in a horrible place.
Isn't that interesting? That's very interesting, actually. I want to know, do you think they played more video games during the Great Depression?
You're an idiot.
I don't know.
I can't deal with you.
Yeah, no, I kind of want to know more about that. I might do my own personal research after this, because what do you think about that? That more people want to go back to video games, when things are ending.
I feel like they should include that in those studies that say video games are terrible for people, even though that's where people turn when they're depressed.
Yeah, it's really wild. But yeah, March was a big month. You were really getting to Animal Crossing, but you have a lot of friends who are in quarantine. You're not.
I'm not.
And they're way farther into Animal Crossing. You're what are your thoughts about this first part?
It makes sense because people were just starting quarantine. What am I going to do all day? So they just go to video games, and they had new video games to play.
Yeah.
Now I think people are probably getting a little bored. But yeah, even me, we weren't going anywhere on weekends. We weren't doing anything, and I was obsessed with Animal Crossing. So I just played Animal Crossing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
All weekend.
That's the thing is that like during the weekends, I was just like, man, we're really wasting our weekends here. Like we should be going out. Like, oh, we can't go out. Oh, we're wasting our weekends because all we're doing is playing video. But that's the only thing we can do. And that's the only thing keeping sanity. And that's the thing is that like a lot of people are out of work, including the recession in 2008. And there's more spending when there's less to do.
Yes.
That's wild. That's really cool. I mean, it's not really cool. It's cool and it's not cool.
It's cool as in it's an interesting fact.
It's an interesting fact that I would love to see a study about. Now, the next quote on this is that, but March 2021, so next March, the industry could start to see broader effects of the coronavirus. And we're going to talk about it in a little bit. Games planned to launch next year and beyond are more likely to face issues with development that could lead to delays or cancellations. Yeah, what do you think about that? What do you think is going to happen in the next year for video games?
I definitely agree with that because you have to think, especially in China where most of the video games are made, they were not working. They were shut down. That's where it all started. So they probably are pretty delayed in the production of a lot of games. And then you have to think about even the game developing studios that they probably were not allowed in their offices. And who knows if they have computers at home that are powerful enough to do their part of the game. So, and you couldn't, you can't do the voice, voice recordings.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised at all if this delayed a lot of games or the new systems or physical releases like that. You might be able to get digital releases sooner, but physical ones especially, you're going to have a hard time with, I think.
Yeah, and there's a lot of effects already happening. Like a lot of people are starting to believe that the Last of Us Part 2 leaks happened only because people were taking their systems home. They were working from home.
Yeah.
And a family member got it.
Yeah, or their their home stuff wasn't protected.
Yeah, it wasn't a firewall protected or anything like that.
So someone hacked into their home system and were like, look at that.
You know what could help with that kind of thing?
We are not sponsored.
ExpressVPN. You can get yours. But yeah, so it's very interesting how we're already starting to see effects in terms of game development, leaks, and we're going to be talking about that a little bit more, but it's already starting to say that March 2021, you have to expect that games are going to be affected because of the coronavirus. And by March 2021, I hope that this is all over by then and I can go outside and dap with my boys.
What?
Dap?
No.
Dap?
No.
Okay. No dap?
I don't know
dap?
what that is. I'm not. No.
Dap?
I don't want to.
Dap? Anyways, but that's the thing is that where I hope that by then, but that's the thing. It will be behind us, hopefully. And we're going to see delays. Like, why is this happening? Why are there so many things happening? It's because the effects are going to be happening next March.
Because it delayed things that they could have worked on.
So let's talk about Phil Spencer's comments here. He says this: through the summer, early fall, I feel pretty good about games. Microsoft's Xbox leader Phil Spencer told Business Insider, games that we're targeting a year from now or beyond, there will be some impact, but they'll be able to react. So that's the thing, is that they have enough time to react to it. And he's already confident for the summer, fall games. They're going to be fine.
Because you have to think at this point, by the time March hit around, they're probably almost done.
Yeah.
Those last couple months until summer, those are cleaning up the game. So I think you might have some bugginess with the games that are coming out in the summer more than usual.
Yeah.
But I think I agree with that because most of those games are probably practically done.
Yeah, and it goes into the next quote here. Pretty much. Many of those titles have yet to be revealed, but all blockbuster games take years to make, like you were saying, years to make. With hundreds and thousands of people working in offices around the world, something that's nearly impossible something that's nearly impossible during a global pandemic. Studios outright can't remotely, and here's the big one. Here's why games will be affected. Studios outright can't remotely do the motion capture, otherwise known as mocap, or audio work, like you said, needed to put into the finishing touches here. So when we're talking about audio work here, we're talking about large audio. We're not talking about like things you can do from home, like cowbell cymbals. I don't know. But we're talking about large symphonies.
The entire symphonies, but even the entire dialogue for an entire game.
Yeah. I know you can do voiceover work from home, but it's like...
You need a professional studio if
you're
going to do a professional game.
And that's the thing. You're going to see the effects of that. Then it might be audio work, but then you're going to hear it in a March 2021 game. It's like, oh, the audio sounds weird on this. It almost sounds like they're doing like a podcast in a separate bedroom with, weird mics and a ring light going around them. It sounds weird, but...
Our podcast does not sound weird.
It sounds amazing. We are number one podcasting in the world.
I wouldn't go that far.
Don't fight me. But that's the thing is that what's going to be the most affected is the mocap. Now, if you don't know what motion capture does, not every single animation, they go into their computers and they kind of do the whole... They don't do that with the whole... claymation, kind of like they move a little bit, take a picture, move a little bit. There's more motion capture involved in terms of the action scenes, and that they count on that so that they can make production a little bit faster. But because you can't be doing motion capture remotely, that's where you're going to see the biggest effects of this, and they're going to have to recover from that. And that's what Phil Spencer's saying. So Phil Spencer says this: mocap is just something that's basically stopped. We're not going into mocap studios, Spencer told Business Insider. If you had all your animation captured and you're doing touch up in more individual art production, in areas like textures and other things, you're in a better position in terms of saying, like, you already got your animations, you already got your mocap. That's fine. You're doing individual art productions. That's fine. In areas textures, like, you can do that from home. You're fine. If you're waiting for a lot of either large audio work, whether it's be symphonies or other things, or mocap, you're held up right now, and you're not making progress in the areas that you are. And that's going to be crazy. That like bigger blockbuster games, they use symphonies, they use the mocap, and we're not going to see that in later on games. The summer and fall games, and a lot of people seem to forget this, that games don't just happen. They don't happen. In fact, what was that? I don't know what that was. I was about to cry because no mocap. But we talked about Adam's Ascending a lot on this, and Nick DiPaolo has been working on it for 5 years. I think he said 5 years at this point. And it's
Sounds
not
right.
Yeah, it looks fantastic from the screenshots I'm seeing on Instagram, but it's taking 5 years. Or even better yet, Stardew Valley, created by one person, took 5 years, and he worked 12-hour days. 5 years. Games don't just happen. Or even the Sam Raimi costume from Spider-Man. Everybody's like saying, oh, Insomniac, why aren't you including the Sam Raimi? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And the more they outcried, then they released the Sam Raimi, like, oh, see, we yelled enough and now it's here. No, silly.
They've been working on that.
They've been working on it, goofball. But that's the thing. Games don't just happen. There's a lot of involvement here, and that's what Phil Spencer's saying, is that you're going to see these effects of mocap in 2021. But what's interesting is that he brings up sports games. It's cool. Not really, but annual sports franchises like Madden and FIFA are a good place to start. It's really those types of games that we're really trying to finally get all their assets and bases together in terms of art production, and they might have the biggest impact. So the annual release of like Madden, even NBA, where they have mocap for like new dunks and everything. Now, there was a leaked footage of Zion Williamson, like in a mocap suit. And this was recently. Now I'm thinking about it. Why are they doing that? I don't know.
They don't care.
Probably not. No, Ronnie 2K does not care about people. But yeah, Zion Williamson is doing dunk mocap stuff. But he's right that Madden and FIFA, who are getting assets together, that they use a lot of mocap to do little moves, they're going to be the biggest affected because they have to put out a game every single year. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But what do you think about that?
I don't really have any thoughts on that.
Well, let's go into Nikki's thoughts.
Okay.
Who had it, right on the nail. Probably some delay, she says. This is at Commander Nikki, and I asked, how do you think games will change in 2021 due to the virus disruption in the games industry? Probably some delays. There's not much. There's not much game developing you can do in home offices, I guess. But I can see a potential rise in simpler games that are easier to make from home, which will be pretty cool, like indie games.
Yeah.
I think indie games are going to see a lot of rise in this.
Because they've been able to stay home and work on it.
Yeah. Imagine that like somebody finally is quarantined and they finally see the opportunity. Like, you know what? I'm actually going to go out and finally make my game because I'm just stuck in quarantine. But what do you think about that?
I don't think it'll be anyone who's just like, they're going to make a whole game during quarantine.
No.
But I think you'll see indie developers will have someone who already started a game and been working on it have had more time to finish it or work on it during quarantine because they don't have work. So they can work on it while they're at home. Yeah. So they've had more time to work on their game. No, sorry, I trailed off. I thought the dog touched me.
No, he's right over there.
He's sleeping.
But no, it's really, really good for the games industry in that sort of light. And but yeah, I think Madden is going to be affected, but indie games are going to be on another rise here because you can do that from home. Just like what Phil Spencer says, I think if you're doing animation captured, you got your animation, you're doing individual art production or textures, you're fine because you can do that from home. These indie games are usually done from home. They're usually done from your home office, like the deep indie games, But yeah, so I think indie games are going to see a huge rise in this. Thanks for the thought, Commander Nikki.
Yeah.
Now, finishing this discussion, one thing that appears to still be on track is Microsoft's next generation game console, the Xbox Series X, which is scheduled to arrive holiday season. Spencer is overseeing this, and he has this to say. Even though we're obviously not traveling to China, obviously.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. We feel good about our game, we feel good about our progress on hardware, Spencer says. I've got my take-home console downstairs, and I'm playing on it most nights, and I feel good about the software updates that we're doing. Now, I have a little bit of a problem with that statement. It's like, yeah, production's fine. It's good. I got my console and it's working just fine. I'm like, mass production is a thing.
Like, yeah, yours probably has all the really good parts.
Yeah, he says like the software updates are good. I'm like, good, that's fantastic. The software updates are good. But the main hardware, if we're going to do a mass production, how much is going to be there? Yeah. And parts are probably going to be scarce and parts are probably going to like not be around for a while. And all this does is that it's going to make a lot of consoles really scarce. But he also says this, that doesn't mean launch will be totally unaffected. There it is. From the kind of pomp and circumstances that around launches, you might find a time where there's some impact. Some things that we're going to launch may be moved a little bit. Regardless, Spencer remains confident that not only upcoming Xbox console launch, but in the larger game industry, it struggles to deal with the fallout of the global pandemic. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. But yeah, he's saying that there could be some hiccups in launch. There could be some things that are delayed. And I think that we're going to see some consoles that are hard to find.
Yeah.
Kind of like what the Switch was when the Switch first came out. It's kind of hard to find because of, hardware scarcity. What do you think about that? Do you think we're going to get an Xbox Series X day one?
Us, personally?
Sure.
No.
Oh. PS5 day one?
No.
Oh, darn.
I want to, but no.
Yeah.
I want to be optimistic and say, yes, if they think they can pull it off, then I think they can pull it off by getting it out at Christmas. But it ties into my idea with the way games don't release something that's not finished. don't release a new system that is clearly not ready to be released with bad parts that you kind of scrambled together to get. Don't do it. It's okay if you have to push it off because we're all experiencing the same pandemic. And if people don't understand that, then they're probably not people you want to please anyway.
But that's the thing is that that's the other thing. I don't really recommend getting a console day one anyway, because you're basically the guinea pig of mass production. I mean, we saw the launch of the Xbox 360 and how that came to be. But even the Xbox One, you know, there were some hiccups with that. When you're buying a brand new console, right, you are the guinea pig for that mass production. So that's why I really don't really care if I get a console day one. Because there's still some hiccups. Like your system has a very large chance to break. And like you said, there's probably going to be some hiccups that launch is going to be totally unaffected. And I think there's going to be a lot of Xbox Series X's and even PS5s. I think there's going to be a lot of issues of, you know, breaking the consoles too easily. So I want to finish out this article by the last quote. And it says this. This is Phil Spencer, by the way. I'm pretty confident in the industry's ability to continue a steady flow of games coming out. There's just a lot of games in production across the industry right now, and I think we're going to be, as an industry, we're going to be fine. I'm bullish on what this means for the long run of games, even if it means the certain impact to certain launch windows for certain titles that we might see. So what Phil Spencer is saying, like, listen, we might see a hiccup. In March 2021, probably May, you're going to see a lot of delays, maybe some cancellations, but he's still confident that the games industry has a lot of time to see this, and they have a lot of time to get off the train tracks before the train comes and hits them. But do you have a thought?
I mean, not really. It's just kind of reiterating what he said and what we've said. It's that he's optimistic that, you know, his system will be ready to go. And as far as games, it's the ones that were already in production are probably good, but the ones that still had a year to release probably will be delayed. But yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things we have to wait and see what happens. I always pray that companies will not try and push something that's not ready to release, whether it be games or systems, especially systems, because they cost way more than games. And if that system breaks, guess what? There's no update that will fix it.
Pretty much.
That's hardware, not software.
But yeah, I'm also pretty confident in the games industry. They know how to progress. They know how to really get out of this kind of loop here. And there's going to be some hiccups. There's going to be some distraction. There's going to be a disruption in development. But, you know, we're only going to see it for a short period of time. And the games industry knows how to get past it. We got past the whole ET thing. And we're going to get past this. We're going to get past this together so long as we're in it together. But, and I'm not even just talking about video games here, but yeah, I think Phil Spencer is wise to say all this. I think he's saying, like, I think he's just preparing us for what we're going to see and saying, like, listen, keep your expectations, you know, lower next spring and just realize that we're doing our best to get back to it. But once we allow ourselves to do that, we're going to get right back into it. So that's summer 2021. It'll all be fine. It'll all be. And like you said, summer games of this year, fall games of this year, they're going to come out just fine because they're still on schedule. But, you know, realize that next spring is going to be a different story. So any other closing thoughts?
I think I'm good.
Cool. But yeah, let's just end it here, I guess.
Okay.
So we thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Games and Groceries podcast. And if you want more of us, check out What's the Biz. There's a link down below. It's another podcast that we do, audio only. There's no video, but it's audio. You can check it out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and, you know, any other podcast platform that you want to listen to us on. And follow us on social medias, Twitter at Gaming Groceries, or I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm at Journey First.
You can follow us on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word. And definitely check out our websites, gamesandgroceries.com, where you can find all of the episodes from the website, as well as listen to where you can listen to the audio versions of this podcast. So with all that said and done, we thank you for watching this week's episode. We hope you have a good week and have a great week.
Bye.